Damn, Q. Baby, you did that.
Welcome to the Oh Yeah podcast with your boy, Mr. Oh Yeah, Detroit's #1 ambassador. Appreciate you joining us for another episode of Real Stories from Real People. Oh yeah, welcome to another episode of the Oh Yeah podcast with your boy, Mr. Oh Yeah. And here today, we are shooting remotely from Good Vibes Lounge here on Detroit's East Side.
Hello.
And there was no way that we could be at Good Vibes Lounge without talking to the CEO, the creator, but she's also the wife, the mother, the serial entrepreneur, WSU graduate, right? Award-winning banker, they say, the Miss Portia Powell Monette.
There you go.
How you feeling today, lady?
Listen, I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
This gives me a break away from from my day job, so I love the energy.
Yeah.
Got me feeling all excited with that introduction. I'm like, damn.
That's all
I
you.
am all that.
That's all you. Check all them boxes, right?
Yeah.
I also, I didn't know I was going to start here, but the way you keep saying this is resonating with me.
Okay.
You working, right? You say, I'm a working person, a working lady. That's a great spirit to have as the owner of the establishment. Don't you agree? Or would you agree? Where does that come from?
A reality check?
Okay.
I think the mistake is that as the owner, you're not the hardest one working, or maybe other people have that luxury. I don't. So when I say I'm working, I'm literally putting in work. I have 2 servers up front waiting for me that I'm training. I'm on staff on the kitchen.
Yeah.
Today alone, I probably lift 400 pounds of groceries.
Come on.
So when I say working, I mean I'm physically doing work.
Yeah, that's reality, right? The reality of the business, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I gotta ask, Good Vibes have been here now a couple of years.
Yes.
And seen some great success.
Absolutely.
East English Village neighborhood, right?
Yes.
Where did the idea come from for Good Vibes Lounge?
So, that's a really great question. For me, is business as usual.
Okay.
And so this was actually a business deal that was brought to me prior to this aspect. Real estate has always been something that I've been focused on. And so the old owner, who I appreciate tremendously, was a client of mine. I was his banker. And so he actually had 2 locations. This, which was the original Firewater.
Yep.
And then there was the one down off of Milwaukee in New Center area.
Yeah.
And he was selling them both.
Wow.
And he said, look, I got a really good deal on this Porsche. I think you can turn this into a really successful business.
Yeah.
This is what the numbers were for me way back when. And so I started looking at it from a real estate aspect, a liquor license aspect, and I was able to get a really good deal for it. And so I took the space and then created what I would have wanted to see in my neighborhood if I, was opening a bar in my own neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we wanted, the first thing, the vibe to be right. People to come here and just feel good.
Yeah.
Through whatever that meant, whether you coming from work, whether you going to work, whether you just got done dealing with the kids for the day and now you got a minute to just have a drink and a moment to yourself. We wanted it to feel good when you walked in.
Yeah.
And so I started trying to figure out, what does that look like? Because oftentimes people think you need bigger. Sometimes smaller and more intimate is a lot more successful.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I've seen as a fact here with Good Vibes.
Here with Good Vibes. Well, that's what's up, man. And it looks good, man, inside and out. So I'm glad you took that time. What was that process like, right?
Yeah.
From curation to what we see today.
So I purchased this building and we closed on the deal in February of 2019. So for over a year, I literally gutted this place down to the studs and we rebuilt it. So everything inside of Good Vibes is completely brand new. From the roof to every aspect, the plumbing, the piping. We literally took a shell and rebuilt it. The windows have even been cut in and replaced and, you know, updated. So it took me a year because I actually did what many people call bootstrapping, which is I self-funded it at the time. Okay. So I was working, you know, still very active in corporate America, and I actually used my corporate income and salary to be able to substantiate me building this out. Yeah. But it took me a year. And we were scheduled to open March 25th of 2020. 1 week,
exactly.
1 week prior, COVID hit. And like everybody, we didn't know. We just didn't know. Was that the end of the world? Like what happened? Yeah. I know I had just exhausted pretty much all of my personal capital into building this place out. So much so that we already had the food. We already had just got our first liquor inventory. I had literally just spent my last thinking, we're finna open. Yeah. We'll be generating money. I'll have something coming back in. Yeah. And
it didn't happen.
And it just didn't happen. Yeah. And not only did it not happen, we didn't know if it was gonna happen or what was gonna happen with anything else for real. Right. So it was a very difficult time because we had no real concept of what life was gonna be like.
Yeah. Nobody, right?
Yeah, nobody.
Nobody, yeah.
So then I was in the space, do I let this go? You know, like what do I do? And thankfully we thugged it out.
Come on now.
We were able to open on Juneteenth, so that's even more meaningful to me. Yeah. Because that's Good Vibes' actual birthday. It's the day we made our first dollar. It's the day we welcome people in. It's the day that people started to fall in love with this place. Yeah. And now we get to celebrate our birthday every year on Juneteenth.
That means a lot. And I've celebrated Juneteenth with you here as well. So it is a good vibe.
Absolutely.
Come on down. But there's been great success to Good Vibes and a great response from the neighborhood, right?
Absolutely. Even more than what I anticipated.
Yeah.
I don't know what I envisioned, but this is far beyond that.
Far beyond.
Far beyond it. You know, I thought we would sell drinks, people would grab something to eat. You know, I don't come from a food and beverage background. Yeah. I come from the business side. Yeah. I mean, in this neighborhood, and even just Detroiters in general, because we get people commute from all over to support. And so what I try as best as I can to do is make sure that I'm giving them something valuable and meaningful to actually support. Yeah. I do a lot of community events. We make sure we're partnered with all the liquor brands to give our customers the absolute best experience. I try not to overtax people because it's, you know, something that we see happening a lot in this industry. So I try to still make it as affordable as I can, but still being able to operate and pay people. Because right now, wages are at an all-time high. Yeah. And then people don't understand the concept that in order to have a nice environment, that actually costs money.
Absolutely.
And so in order to keep
they don't get that.
and continue to invest in and continue to do things, we have to do what we do.
You got to do what we do. Well, I'm glad, and it's obvious that you put your foot down when needed, right? Mm-hmm. But I like the part of the partnerships with the community and everybody feeling comfortable with coming here, right? Mm-hmm. And you've been recognized for that as well. Yes. Mayor Duggan has been out here. It was just an event last week with Dennis Archer Jr., right? Yep, where you was the recipient of another Detroit Spirit Award, I hear, right?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
You know, I think what always goes back to me is if you do the work and stay true to what your intent was, then great things will come.
Absolutely.
I think the problem is we try to pivot so much and cater to the needs of everybody else that sometimes we lose sight of what we actually envision. Okay. And when I got back to that, like, this is what I saw when I saw this place. This is what I wanted to do. Yeah. It then set me apart from everybody else that was already doing it. Okay. For me to say, hey, we're having a meet and greet with Dr. Portia Roberson because she's running for Congress, and the people in this neighborhood need to know who she is. Yeah. And then those people actually show up. Yeah. Or when we had a meet and greet with Latrice McClendon, who ran and now elected to Detroit School Board.
That's right. I was here for that. Come on now.
Because the kids who got kids in DPS need to know who's actually on their school board. And so to be able to draw in those type of people, for Mayor Duggan to say, I'm having my election watch night party on the east side of Detroit at Good Vibes Lounge, for us to have Mama Dugan in the backyard two-stepping, you know, like that not only meant something to me, it gives these people in this community a sense of pride that, hey, that's right there by my house.
That's right.
And that's one of the things we have not had, and I'm thankful to, if nothing else, be able to fill that void and that gap.
Come on now. So it's more than just the Good Vibes Lounge. It seems very passionate for you. You are a Detroiter, right?
Absolutely.
East side.
All day long.
Come on now.
All day long.
And I must say, and the last interview we just did, I try my best to where we see all great things from the city of Detroit.
Absolutely.
But the one thing that's becoming very prevalent is them people from 3200 East Lafayette. If I do say so myself. Come on now. It's just different, man. A graduate of King, graduate of Wayne State, right? That upbringing is obviously just pouring out of you right now into your work. Well, that's that passion. Is that where that comes from? So, is that a safe assumption?
It is a safe assumption. However, far beyond 3200, far beyond Wayne State or any other experience in my life, I am just beyond grateful to have a mom that continued to pour into me and really led me to believe that I can do anything and supported me in doing anything. If I was on the ledge, she was going to jump with me because she knew somewhere I had a plan. And so I'm thankful to be one of the people who can say that I had that. And she had already instilled those things into me way before 3200. 3200 helped. It helped add character and meaning behind some of the things that had already started at home for me.
Come on now. We gotta love that.
Absolutely.
But Good Vibes was not our first investment on Detroit or in Detroit, correct?
No. So I've had several brick and mortars in Detroit and some outside of the city of Detroit. Like I said, real estate was my first investment. It was one of the things that my mom, it was really a hobby for her that we turned into actual business learning and actual investing in. Became fairly successful in our own right, you know, with doing so. So real estate was always like the backbone behind a lot of the things that I did. I became really good at, as a commercial banker, I saw how businesses pivoted, how they operated. So I got really good at building businesses. What would then happen is I ultimately realized I didn't like the business I had built. It wasn't for me, but it was a great business model for somebody else. So a couple of my first original companies with a great customer base and a great foundation, I was able to sell those companies to somebody who that is what they actually wanted to do. They had a passion for it, and then I would move on to other things. So investing in businesses actually is one of my investments as well.
I love it. But I got to shout out, at least one of them was the Sweet. Is that right?
Yes.
Let me tell you, my wife and daughters used to love going in there.
Yes, I miss the Sweet.
Yeah.
But the Sweet, again, was one of those ones, if you were a baker, you know what I mean? You had a passion. Because even that, what I enjoyed the most was the community. You know, we hosted community events even there, District 4 campaigns, you know, different things, meet and greets. I enjoyed just seeing the interactions of people. Did I necessarily want to scoop ice cream? You know, not so much.
Not so much.
But again, and that business model just it didn't close because I sold it. What happened is that was a space we were actually leasing. And we just ran into an environment. The building was not safe for us to continue to operate in. And the owners of the building at the time did not have the capital to make the investment in the building. So we were actually forced to kind of move out. With the hopes then that we would either find a new location, or one of the things we had thought about was taking it mobile and creating like a sweet food truck or ice cream truck, modern day ice cream truck. And that's still not off the floor.
That's right. Stay, we never know, huh?
It's just finding the time to actually, you know.
We got a monster here right now.
Man.
We got a monster here right now.
And a second monster opening in about a month.
We're going to get to that. Come on now. Come on now, Portia. Let me guide this one here, all right? But I love it. But even before the Sweet, you mentioned real estate and investment. Absolutely. Also into homes around the city of Detroit. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Is that 10 properties I heard?
No. Well, now I wish I still had 10. I'm probably down to about 2, 3, 4, 6.
Okay.
Last year was really just a great seller's market in Detroit. And so some of the properties I had in my opinion, maximize those investments
Okay.
to the point it was too risky for me to try to hold those properties in case something happened in the market.
Yeah.
And so I did liquidate, because in total I owned 14 properties, and I did liquidate about half of those over the last year and a half.
Last year and a half.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of get all that out.
Okay.
Because you was doing all of this while still having a 16-year career in the banking business. And you've kind of touched on it a little bit through some of these stories.
Absolutely.
But
19-year banking career.
Excuse me now.
You're right.
Let's get
Get it right.
my facts right. Let me check with my researcher back there, you know, but we'll get it together. But 19 years of the banking industry, right?
Yep.
Please tell us about that and how we got started in that, and, you know, what ultimately was the reason why we decided to leave.
So banking is, to me, what started off as an accident. And I tell these all the time. I actually did a TED Talk called Lessons of a Miseducated Banker.
Yeah.
Because
something else we was getting to, but go ahead.
I got into banking on a mistake. My first semester of college, my mom had always emphasizing having good credit and make sure you keep your credit good, make sure you keep your credit good. Well, I didn't know what that really meant.
Yeah.
And so she set me the foundation to have good credit when I went to college. And I came home after that first semester with quite a bit in like credit card debt.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, that's when I think the plasmas had first came out. I had the plasma in my dorm room. Like
T-shirts, all that, huh?
She came up there like,
what are we doing?
Like, where'd you get this? And I was like, oh, I just had a credit card.
Right.
So needless to say, after that first year, May, I came home, and by June, I had my first job as a teller.
At the bank.
At the bank. National City in downtown Royal Oak.
Yeah.
My aunt was actually the banker in our family, and she at the time was I think managing loss prevention.
Yeah.
But that's all I had saw her do, is either us going to the bank to see my aunt or dropping stuff off at the bank. It was like, in my mind, I always heard the bank.
Right.
And so once I actually got into the banking environment, I was in downtown Royal Oak. You're talking about a very affluent, very wealthy neighborhood.
Yeah.
What I started seeing is people living a life I had never seen before.
Okay.
And it was almost like, how are these people doing these things? You know, like, how is it everybody who comes in here have money and thousands of dollars and own business? It was just not something I had seen or been exposed to in my life. So I really became like a sponge. Yeah. And I was in there and I wanted to know what everybody did, how they did it, how they got there, who their parents were, like what was going on with these people that was different than what I had seen. Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, banking at the time was very sales oriented. Mm-hmm. So if you became a good salesperson, you could have a very lucrative career in banking. You know, in banking. Yeah. To the point, I was 25 years old at this time. I think I was assistant vice president at Chase. I was making well over $100,000 a year. You know, just literally living the life with no real concept of money, and that everybody didn't make. You know, 100 or something. And it was just like, this is great.
This is great. Let's do it, baby.
This is amazing.
We living it up.
I'm 25 years old. I got a Benz, and I live in the suburb. You know, it was a lot going on.
Yeah.
But then it became the need to sustain that lifestyle.
That's right.
Because once you get a taste of these things,
you got to keep these things.
You have to keep these things, and that's what really humbled me, because I got to a place where it was like, oh, now what?
Yeah.
But I've done pretty much everything there is in retail banking, from lending to mortgages to managing teams to managing business lines to managing products, to helping create and design products, to being out in the community. And so banking is one of those things that I'm extremely passionate about. And even though I stepped away, there may be some opportunities for me to go back.
Yeah. Well, first, salute to you.
Thank you.
And that walk, you know what I mean? Because at some point you were vice president, and I could be wrong now. You know, I got to check back with my research assistant or whatnot. But was it 3 different banks, or did they merge, or?
So, well, no, I was vice president of all 3 different banks. And then ultimately, the last merger, which our organization became Huntington Bank.
Yeah.
And Huntington had just created some lending products. We had just created some lending products. So there was like some overlap. And so I ended up taking a role right under one of the executive vice presidents, and worked under her, and she was absolutely phenomenal to me. But what happened was, we were at a point where Good Vibes was growing just at a very rapid pace, and you're talking about generating 7-figure revenue. I could not focus at the bank when I needed to figure this out.
Yeah.
And the bank is what I knew. That was easy.
Yeah.
This, food, beverage, liquor sales,
it was all different.
This was all different.
Yeah.
And so I had to drastically just put some time into being here to learn what was normal. You know what I mean? I'm like, wait, is this sustainable? Are we really finna do this type of revenue?
Yeah.
What do I do to maximize? You know, like all of these things. And so that's ultimately why I decided to leave banking, because it was at the time where my banking career, I was being pushed into growing with the bank. And it was now I was in a place where I'm in a national role, and I was supposed to start traveling and going all over the country teaching financial literacy. It was, I can't do that and do this. And the bank was very flexible with me, gave me some options to leave, and that's ultimately what ended up happening.
This is, again, a monster, right? Good vibes right here on the east side of Detroit.
Yes.
You gotta love it.
I love it.
This is where I felt really the inspiration of your story, right? Coming up on the east side and really just showing everybody it could be done.
Absolutely.
Right? But this is where we call it almost the journey moment of the Oh Yeah podcast.
This is a journey.
Because you've taken all those years of experience and showing us what can be done on the east side of Detroit, right? But you don't stop there. Right?
Right.
The TED Talk, TEDx Detroit Talk, right?
There you go.
And you've been recognized on Channel 4. Even just recently got something from Grubhub. Is that right?
Yes, the Neighborhood Champion Award from Grubhub. And we actually just got a Community Choice Award from Comcast.
Yeah.
We were the recipient of a $10,000 grant from Comcast.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You don't stop there. Now, I understand you managing to figure out all of this, but you also, what is this? Play Place with autism? Mother Honestly? Tech Town?
Yes.
Build Institute?
Yes.
And I'm gonna have to shoot my shot to say is InvestHer network?
Yes.
Is that the most passionate one there?
It's definitely one of the most meaningful because it's something that I helped found.
Yeah.
And to know where that organization started from, which was literally a group text about what we're going to wear to an event we were going to now see it have over 50 members and women from all over the country, from executives at Netflix to CEOs in their own right to business women to, I mean, you name it, is the basis of the Wealth Investor Network. To know that started from something and an idea that I had with a group of ladies that literally generated from literally a text to now this organization that's doing just amazing things. That's super meaningful to me because I took it from vision to actual action.
Come on,
along with the help of my other amazing founders.
Come on now. And if somebody didn't catch that, that was you giving back to the community as well.
Absolutely.
All of those things, right? Sitting on those boards and
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not on the board of Play Place for Autism anymore. That was an amazing organization. Mother Honestly, they relocated from Detroit. I believe they're out of New York now.
Okay.
And so, but Tech Town, Build Institute, and Wealth Investor Network are three that I'm extremely passionate about because it has to do with the financial literacy and the entrepreneurship aspect. The Wealth Investor Network is about building wealth gap amongst women and educating women on finances to acquire wealth because even women have been withheld for so long, even much further than our men. And so ultimately where men were the breadwinner and the primary income source, and that's still very prevalent in a lot of households, women have to get accustomed to now sometimes women is the breadwinner. And how do we manage in the same capacity that the men has ultimately led us in before? Yep.
Well, I want to take a break for a moment.
Okay.
But when we come back, I would really like to tap in on why are those things so important to you that you've taken this approach. All right?
Yep.
We'll be back here on the Oh Yeah podcast here at Good Vibes Lounge. What up, though? It's your boy, Mr. Oh Yeah, Detroit's #1 ambassador, coming to you today to send a big shout out to today's sponsor, Candidly Speaking greeting cards. If you ain't got you one, you should have been ordered it. Go to the website, Candidly Speaking greeting cards. It's the site where you see greeting cards that say happy birthday, happy Mother's Day, happy Valentine's Day, but it looked like us, for us. Go check them out and tell Toya I sent you. I'll let you boy. Oh yeah, welcome back to the Oh Yeah podcast with your boy, Mr. Oh Yeah, Detroit's #1 ambassador. Sitting here at Good Vibes Lounge with CEO of Good Vibes Lounge, Miss Portia Powell.
Monet.
Come on now, got to make sure we get that right.
Yes.
And where we left off, I really felt more of the passion coming out about you taking all of your wealth of knowledge, experiences, and being able to give back to the community, right?
Yeah.
Not just sitting on boards, but creating the InvestHer network,
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
And I wanted to know, why is that so important? Why did you feel the need of doing that type of work?
So, I talk about my mom a lot. It's one of those things that is trouble for me.
Okay.
But I have learned in telling her story, it also helps give me comfort and allows me to continue to have her presence be felt.
That's right.
But my grandmother died May 6th of 1984, which was one day after her birthday. My mother was 15 years old. My grandmother had experienced a nervous breakdown prior to that. So mentally she wasn't at her best at that point then, but then she ultimately passed away. My mother was 15 years old. She ultimately had me as a 15-year-old orphan months later.
Yep.
Everything that people did to her or told her in her life that would happen as a result of being a teen mom, she made sure she overcame.
Yeah.
She made sure those things didn't become an excuse, and she didn't let me be an excuse, not to myself or not to her.
Yeah.
Never would you hear a story when I'm saying a bad thing about my mom being 15, other than the fact that she was 15 years old and she was alone, in the world. Thankfully, there were some people who had came into her life who either poured into her or gave her resources to help her become the woman she was, and then to ultimately help me become the woman that I am.
Yeah.
So I truly believe in giving back, because had somebody not done those things for my mom at a point where she needed somebody, I don't know where I would be, today. I could have very easily been in foster care. My mother was homeless and an orphan when she had me, and somehow she still figured it out. I remember her teacher, she went to Wayne County Community College, right here on Connors, the Connor campus.
That's right.
One of her professors used to allow her to bring me to the classroom, and I would sit in the back so that my mom could take the courses. That lady bought me my very first Trapper Keeper, if you remember.
Come on now,
and
Trapper Keeper.
I'm talking about, what's it called? Lisa Frank, all the coloring books. That lady used to have me so set up. I used to look forward to going to college with my mom, because that professor always had things, for me. So I look back on scenarios like that. That lady didn't have to do that for her. Yeah. She didn't make a fuss about it. Instead, she saw somebody trying to do something with themselves, saw that she had me, and she made everything possible to try to accommodate my mom. Yeah. But other resources as well. An odd story that I tell people, and it ended up being one of the best things that ever happened.
Come on.
Was when they made welfare recipients get a job.
Oh.
Remember, you could be on aid back in the day. You was on aid forever. Yeah. The best thing they did for my mom is they made her go to work first. Okay. And apply for jobs.
Gave her resources.
Gave her resources.
To be sustainable, yeah.
And then she ultimately got a job and realized the money that she thought she was making on aid was nothing in comparison to what the real world, could afford her. And so she actually ended up getting a job. We lived in a subsidized apartment complex, Medical Center Courts, right off I-75.
Come on now, East Side for real.
Listen, you would not have been able to tell me that wasn't the best place in the world to live. I mean, we had, you know how many kids live in the projects? Yeah. I mean, we had a ball, right? To the point you didn't know that there was a life outside of that, because this is all we knew, sun up to sundown. So when it was time for my mom to do her renewal rent application, she put on there that she had a job and this is how much she made. We actually got evicted.
Wow.
Because she made too much money now for us to live in subsidized housing. And I mean, we're devastated. Yeah. We would have lived there forever. Yeah. if we could. We didn't know.
No, I get it.
We would have lived there forever. Yeah. But ultimately, she came back, her and my aunt, the banker. She came back, and then a couple of days later, I remember we got business here. We got to go do this, we got to do that. And she came back and she said, okay, we're buying a house. And I'm like,
what?
What?
What are you talking about?
What do you mean we buying a house? We buying a house from where? What do you mean?
Yeah.
And so ultimately, fast forward, us getting evicted, she went to the bank and found out she had the credentials to get a mortgage. And she bought a house. We lived right like in the Harper Woods area.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we moved, everybody's all crying. It's like the saddest thing in the world that we're buying a house and moving to this neighborhood. And so to help us out, my mom threw this barbecue like when we first moved, and she would have picked all our friends up, and they like, you would have thought we lived in a mansion.
Like
they're like, you got a backyard, like y'all got a rim, like
y'all got a rim.
Listen,
come on,
that rim, like that did something to every kid. We were like rich at this point, like y'all got a rim, like. They used to be calling, when's Susie picking us up again? You know, like we just had lived in, when I say this is a regular bungalow house, like not even nothing extravagant.
Now that you know now, like, listen.
But again, if not for those type of opportunities, she would have never known that there was a better way. You know what I mean? The person who went from subsidized housing went to having her own house built, later in life. And my mom died at a very young age. She died at the age of 45. What she had overcame in those 45 years,
come on now,
it's like anything I've ever seen. And I'm not saying that because it's my mom. If I sat here and said the story of her, it creates zero excuses for the story of any of us. Like, so there's no excuses for me. I can't sit here and cry, even for her. I miss my mom tremendously. But what I now have to think about is my mom lost hers at 15. Thank God I at least had mine till I was 30. And so giving back, I wouldn't be who I was today if I didn't give back. I don't think we gain anything by withholding from other people. If anything, strengthening your network only gives you more access and opportunity because your network is now a part of you.
That's right.
So if I push you forward and you excel over here, guess what? Now my reach is over here because you're over here.
That's right.
And so many people want to play this crab in a barrel mentality or not put people on ahead of them. If me putting you on gives me a further reach ahead, then we both own.
We both winning.
We both winning.
Come on now.
And so I think that's more of a concept, especially in the African American community, that we have to get in the habit of. We so much want to be the first. We're not willing to mention anybody else's name until we're locked in. Or we will even down talk somebody else that's succeeding because they're succeeding further than what we're succeeding. So now there has to be something wrong with Portia because Portia has good vibes and is doing well. Oh, well, they this. And I'm like,
what? Why?
I mean, I've heard so many crazy stories and I'm just like, if that's what they need to say, so
let them.
So be it.
First thing first, thank you. Every time I sit down with someone, the first thing is to do exactly what you're talking about. Highlight beautiful journeys of beautiful people who have taken the time, not just to invest in themselves, but you could have did this anywhere.
Absolutely.
You could have been a VP of a bank anywhere, but you're still investing back here in the city of Detroit, a place that you've come from, who obviously have given you the roots you needed to grow, right?
Yeah.
And giving back, oh my God, But in my mind, I know where I want to go with these conversations, right? But you took it somewhere else. But I think it's who you are organically, right? You, from that story of grandma, moms, now you're a mother and a relationship you have with your child.
Woo.
Let's talk about that. You and this young lady that's in high school now is getting all of the gems and fruits. And that's why the question was, why is it so important to give back? Because you still got so much at home, right?
Yep. So the best thing, so Jada is just advanced beyond measure. And I mean mentally. Because at a point where, I was 21 years old and I've been very corporate driven since I was 21. Mind you, I started as a banker at 18. And so I had to get to a point where she was embedded in my work. There was, the people talk about work-life balance. I never had that. So guess what? Work has to understand my life and my life has to understand my work. They intertwine. If you look, back in different times, Jada was at meetings right with me. Wow. She learned how to sit down and be good or do whatever she needed to do because we got to go get this business. We got to go and do this. We have to go and figure this out. And so I also had to develop an understanding with work. If I needed to leave for my daughter, then allow me the grace to do that. Because when I have to go above and beyond for y'all, there's no complaint, and
Ain't
she
no
has to
complaint.
sacrifice.
That's
So when
right.
I need to sacrifice for her,
Yeah.
then y'all got to understand that works both ways.
Yeah.
And you have to earn those type of relationships
right.
with organizations. And so
Yeah.
I was committed to doing the work. Thankfully, organizations saw that, and they
Yeah.
saw results that if I need to leave here,
Let
y'all
her.
understanding.
Yeah.
Because y'all know if y'all need me or I need to come back, then
on.
I'm going to make that.
Yeah.
I'm going to make that happen. But I think this whole concept around work-life balance is really unrealistic.
Yeah.
Because what does that mean? If you climb higher and higher, the need for you is only more.
That's right.
It's never less. So if you have an opportunity to excel and you're on a career path of a goal-oriented like this, understand that's more sacrifice
That's right.
you have to make. And so is what does that look like? What I'm thankful for the most of Jada is that she's seen that. Jada is a natural hustler. I think
Yeah.
she will far exceed me because she thinks different.
Yeah.
Because she's seen it different at an early age. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? She has zero fears. Nobody she's afraid to go sit down and talk to.
That's good.
She'll walk into a room and get her own job. Mom, can you drop me off? I start too. You know, like
Yeah.
that's just how she is.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that's how my mom was with me. I remember there was a time my mother was sick and she had to get emergency surgery just out of the blue. And she asked me to take her to the doctor. Like, well, we got to do emergency surgery. It's this, and this. And they were wheeling her back. Literally, it was like a 10-minute process. And she's getting prepped for surgery at this point. And she grabbed my hand and she said, take care of your brothers.
Ooh.
And so me now knowing that if she had an opportunity to tell me in her last moments what she
Yeah.
wanted to do, it was take care
of your brothers.
Take care of my brothers at
Yeah.
the time, you know, and I have committed myself to being very there for my brothers and very there for my daughter.
Yeah.
And every aspect of my life now works around that, or they work in every aspect of
Yeah.
my life. It's either one of the two.
Well, it's obvious, man.
Yep.
Hell, I even heard she be promoting the Henny Wings.
She do.
Come
She
on
do.
now.
She do. It's so funny. Her just like, wait, your mom, Portia Powell.
Yeah.
Because she also something else. Don't. Listen, that one ain't backing down. She got a mouth on her. You
Yeah.
know, but I know where it comes from. What makes it worse, because there's really nothing I can
What
do
can
about
you
it. There's
do?
nothing you can
It's
do
in her.
about it. Like,
It's all good,
It's
though.
the parenting the you out of you. And
It's
she
all
has it
good.
on me and her father. So it's just like, we just pick our battles at this point.
When I'm telling you, sitting here in this conversation, you talking about that work-life balance, right? And what does that really look like? Is it? And really, that's where this interview was going.
Mm-hmm.
My next, you married now? Mm-hmm. Come on, what that life been like too?
You know, marriage is challenging because, when you're trying to, especially to me at this age and this stage in our life, now it's different if you've been married and you've been together for 20 years.
Yeah.
You figure out how to adult together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When you both are two very adults trying to figure out how to adult together,
Yeah.
you got your opinion on what's right, you
Yeah.
guys' opinion.
Yeah.
What I am thankful for is that he allows and gives me the space to be me.
on.
He's not the type of man that wants to be front and center. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't want the spotlight, want the attention. You know, you have couples that you see competing for it, and I don't necessarily like it either. It's just a point in certain areas of my business is necessary.
Okay.
And so he's willing to take the backs. He don't have to be seen.
Yeah.
He is more of a workaholic than I am.
Really?
By far. That's
Okay.
actually how we met. He was one of my contractors, and so we did a lot of real estate deals together, you know, in the past. And then it was just like one odd day, we were sitting there. I'm like, you want to get something to eat? And we
Yeah.
were out to eat. Like,
Whoa. What this look like? This look a little different now.
you single? You know.
Yeah.
And so, literally, but we had known each other for years at that
Yeah.
point, and already had kind of had a friendship. And so building a relationship on that
Right.
was the easy part.
Yeah.
But it's really all of these other components. If we have to talk about personal issues me and him have, we have zero.
Okay.
We have zero.
Okay.
There's no personal issues.
Yeah, yeah.
All of our issues
Yeah.
is the stresses of businesses.
Business,
And
yeah.
when both of you run businesses,
Yep.
you get a lot of stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we
Yeah.
get it from all over. And so the hardest part is learning how to turn the stress off
Yeah.
and say, we at home.
Yeah.
He's better at it than me.
Okay.
I'm the one, everything is a fire, it's a disaster, like all the time. He's
Let's
like,
figure it out right now.
I'm just trying to eat my chicken.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm
Yeah.
just trying
Make
to
sure you got the big piece of
I'm
chicken
just
out,
trying to
okay?
eat my chicken,
All right,
okay?
all right.
Like that's, and so he'll stop and let the world burn.
Yeah.
It just be meanwhile I'm got extinguishers.
Come on.
He like
Just chill out. It's gonna be there.
tomorrow we
It's
can
gonna
start
be-
putting the
that's
fire
right,
out.
that's right.
Today I'm eating my chicken.
The Oh Yeah podcast is very important to me because I feel like it's important to tell the story.
Yeah.
Because in the life that we live now, social media gives the perception that Portia just got here. Like good vibes, and Portia, somebody just dropped a check off to her and she just figured it out. I wanted to tell the whole complete story of Portia.
Yeah.
That's why I feel it's most important.
Yeah.
What brings me to this question. Banker, serial entrepreneur, successful lounge owner in Detroit, mother, wife,
Yes.
carrying on legacy from grandma, moms, passing it on to daughter.
Yes.
I need this for real now. How does it feel? How does it feel in this moment, right now, to understand what you've done, what you're continuously working on, and what you know you passing on, not just to your bloodline, but to others around your community, where you came from? That's something huge now, Portia. At what point do you sit back and really receive that and say, yeah, I did this?
You know, the sad part is I don't.
Yeah.
I think I am a, what's the word? Functioning depressed person, right?
Okay.
So working just takes away the depression because it takes my mind, you know,
Okay.
somewhere else. Losing my mind, especially in the way that I did something to
Yeah.
me mentally. Work is what got me
Through.
it. You know what I mean? And so sometimes, unfortunately, all I do is see ahead. You know what I mean? Like I'm just seeing, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
That is rare that I take the time
Come
and
on.
just give yourself some grace or
Yeah.
say, man. But I tell you what, I had a very surreal moment a couple weeks ago. I had went out of town for my daughter's tournament and we got back. It was like late at night and I pulled up here and it was just cars everywhere.
Yeah.
Like everywhere. Whole Harper just shut down.
Oh,
like
bang.
it's looking like Belle Isle on Harper. And I got emotional because it was in that moment that it's
Yeah.
like I was hundreds of miles away. I'm there with my daughter, yet people are still here. I've built something that is operating without me, that people love, that people don't have to call me because they're here anymore. They
on.
literally now are coming because they like good vibes. Because
That's right.
originally it was for me.
Yeah.
Now it's for
Yeah.
they want good vibes.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
They know most of the time they're not
Still
gonna see
you,
me
boo.
in here.
Come on. I feel you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That meant something.
Yeah.
Seeing it grow, that means something.
Yeah.
I had an offer come through for somebody who wants to purchase, to see that somebody else sees the value that
Yeah.
I see. You know, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is something. You know, I look up sometimes to my mom, my aunt, who was like my co-parent growing up. She did have the fortunate pleasure to come to Good Vibes. She died 2 years ago during COVID. But she loved Good Vibes. Like, you couldn't tell her nothing, you know, like,
Yeah.
in her mind, Good Vibes was her, you know, like, she was in a hospital and I went to visit her and she's telling the nurse, hey, my daughter, my niece, she got Good Vibes. They
Yeah.
got fried lobster, you
Yeah.
know, like.
Go
just
get it.
Go get over there, you know. So I'm super thankful that she
Got to
at least got
experience
to
it.
see it and
Yeah.
experience it because she's the one who got me on that banking journey. She's
Yeah.
the one, and even in banking, I remember at one point I had got so high in banking that she was like, man,
Right.
because I was talking to her about a pay. I was like, you know, is this good? She like, they trying to pay you this much money? She like, I've been a banker for 30 years. Like,
Right.
she like, how much do you make
Right,
now? And I'm
right,
like, well, I make
right,
this. And
right.
she like, what the? You know, like, so even for her to see me climb in
Yeah.
banking, knowing that she's the one who got me that first part-time teller job,
Yeah.
I'm super thankful if that's not
Yeah.
something I take for granted. And so I need to do more of that.
Come on now.
Thankfully, that's one of the things that the Wealth Investor Network helps me with,
Okay.
because we pour into each other.
Yeah.
Even though it was founded by 9 women, we have some of the dopest members,
Yeah.
you know, there are. And everybody just coming from a different walk of life, different background, different financial being, but all with the same goal
That's
of
good.
just being better financially.
Yeah.
And sometimes that may be being on the receiving end of the learning, and sometimes that may be on the giving
On the
end
giving.
of the learning. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because both is on a different journey.
Yeah.
And so I have to get better at that. Thankfully, they are forcing me to, because they're going to knowledge and love on you and do
Well,
everything.
I'm gonna tell you, that's what we forcing you to do too.
Yeah.
Because it's needed. You know, you can't just breeze by
Yeah.
Good Vibes or Portia Powell. You just can't do it. You've put the work in, and I just need you to settle in on that. You know what I mean? And we want to say thank you.
Well,
because
thank
you
you.
could have did it anywhere.
You're right.
You could have did it anywhere. I'm from East Side of Detroit. This is my neighborhood.
Listen.
To this day. To this day. You know, so I'm thankful that it's here. I'm thankful that you've invested in it. I'm thankful that you continue to invest in others. And I got to ask, what's next then?
You know, what's next is challenging. I have some corporate opportunities that's in the wind that may be some very lucrative and fulfilling.
Yeah.
That allows me to get back to that passion. But Good Vibes is getting ready to open a second location too. We have a brand new carry-out only space that's opening at 7 Mile in Illinois. Yep, so that is an opportunity. I have even another opportunity later this month to explore. So the good thing and the best position to be in life is to have options.
Have options, man. I preach this to my kids all the time.
Always position yourself to have options. People talk about, why would you go back to corporate? Corporate was very good to me.
Yeah.
Corporate was very good to me.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of stability, and it gave me the opportunity to do even more investments because I had this guaranteed salary that I could now afford to leverage some of my other income.
Yeah.
On top of which, people don't understand that entrepreneurship is very risky.
Yes,
we
it is.
operate a bar, in an urban neighborhood. Honestly, anything can happen at any moment.
Yeah.
I posted this recently, but White Castle had a car explode.
Wow.
Now, that's across the street. Car exploded at White Castle, didn't have anything to do with us. We didn't think nothing of it.
Yeah.
Called the police came, they got the car, boom, mind our business.
Yeah.
Until 2 weeks ago, we were here during brunch, and it was pouring. Our ceiling was like it was raining in here. Our ceiling is our roof is only 2 years old. I'm like, we shouldn't have roof, and we've never had a leak. Now it's water leaking everywhere. Well, we got a roofer to come out. Pieces of that car that exploded had flew on top of our roof.
Really?
So there's burn holes all through our brand new roof. We discovered during brunch when everybody here kicking it and water just started.
Wow.
So these are the type of things, because now we're having to refund food. We're having to shut business down. We're having to do all of these things. Business lost money. When you're an entrepreneur, you're relying on every day these numbers to be where they are.
Come on.
And one little thing happened, that is very, very impactful.
That's right.
I have 22 people that work here. These people want their paycheck on Friday and early if possible.
If possible, baby.
Me, I don't always get paid.
Yeah.
Them,
they
get paid every Friday.
I think that's a good segue into shouting out all the good people that work with you in this walk of Good Vibes, or all of your endeavors that just deserves a little shout out. Who would that be?
We be shouting people out all day.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm always humbled by is the support, because I believe people naturally have options. And you can choose where you want to do business. You can choose who you want to support.
Absolutely.
So to see people continuously support me, support Good Vibes, and do it genuinely with the intent of just wanting to see good. I thank every person that's ever been here. Because you could have went somewhere else. I thank every employee that's worked here. Yeah. Because whether good or bad, you helped shape this place one way or the other. I either learned something from you or learned a lesson. Yeah. And so every single employee that's worked here, when we first opened, I had a manager by the name of Charles.
I remember.
I probably wouldn't be here without Charles, because Charles dedicated a lot of time and a lot of experience into helping Good Vibes become, what it is. So I'm still appreciative and thankful to Charles, and I hope he's doing well on his, endeavors, and I hope Good Vibes helped prepare him for those endeavors, because he had a lot more opportunity to learn, because now you're doing liquor ordering and budgeting and staffing and hiring, all of these things that him coming from a large chain restaurant, he didn't have to do. So even for him bringing all of that experience, there also was a lot of learning that happened on both sides. But I'm thankful to all of my, crusaders, of course. Crusaders gonna crusade, and they crusade right up in here.
Come on now.
And so I'm super thankful for them. Friends, family, one of my closest friends in the world, Portia, who literally just sacrificed her time. People would think Good Vibes is hers. And it is. You know what? She is invested so much time here that she is a part of what Good Vibes is. But again, she didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
I remember the day I told her I was opening a bar, she went and got her bartender. She's on her own, paid to go to bartending school. She came back like, what's up? I got my certificate. And she's been here with me since, day one. Yeah. Emmanuel helped, my husband helped build this place. Yeah. At the time, we were just starting to date around the time when I purchased this. Yeah. A lot of work, when something goes wrong, something needs to be fixed, he's the first person I call. Yeah. When the roof was, he was the one who went on the roof. He like, that's sending me, so there's some of the liquor reps, because in the beginning, this is an industry that typically people who play in it know it already. Yeah. So you already have a ton of relationships. You already know the players. I didn't know anybody. Yeah. I barely knew the difference between a fifth and a liter at the time. I'm saying that honestly. Yeah. I barely drink. How are you trying to buy me a shot? And I'm like, nope. Right. So having those people who believed in me, I remember we had an organization, and I'm going to call them out because I've said it before, but it was Leonard Syrup. Okay. We were getting ready to open, and I needed a pop system. Yeah. Leonard Syrup came, and they looked around, and they said, we don't give out free equipment.
What?
I said, I didn't ask for free equipment. He was like, yeah, it's just going to be too expensive for this little place. Maybe you should call Coca-Cola. And they left.
Really?
Wouldn't give me a quote. Wouldn't give me anything. And it was an older guy.
Wow.
Needless to say, we've had a relationship with Coca-Cola now for 3 years, a very lucrative relationship.
There you go.
But it was very much that same approach with a lot of people. Yeah. So many people, I had close friends and family this whole time I was building. I'm asking people to come up here and help or see because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And those never showed up once. But now,
come on.
Everybody got something to say, or an opinion. And it's like when I needed an opinion, though.
You wasn't in the gym with me.
You didn't shoot a shot.
You ain't shoot one shot.
You ain't shoot a shot.
Come on now. Well, that's all right, man.
But here we are.
Here we are, man. It's cool. Again, we thank you. I think this was probably one of the most important episodes we've ever done, Q&I, because your story is so monumental, right? And your willingness to continue to give of yourself even more. Yeah. That it cannot go overlooked. And we thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing the story and your time with the Oh Yeah podcast.
Thank you.
And perfect time to say, come any day at Good Vibe.
7 days a week.
But especially on Mondays now. Come on now.
It's here every Monday. We got live music Monday popping off now every Monday. If you have not heard Fire Jazz play, he is absolutely amazing.
Come on.
One Monday a month, we'll make sure we actually do a full concert. Can't wait to get the whole patio open.
That's right.
We're going to do some outdoor vibes, but Good Vibes is 7 days a week. Brunch on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. And stay tuned. Next month, our 7 Mile and Livernois location will be opening. We'll be right there just south of the Avenue of Fashion to be able to give some support and some good vibes to our West Side folks who can't get over here to see us all the time, but love and support our food.
Come on now. I don't think we could have ended that any better.
Yes.
Come check out Good Vibes when you got a chance, because they're over here waiting on you.
Period.
Another episode of the Oh Yeah podcast. Check you on the next one.